A major automaker now sells 0 electric vehicles in America. Not fewer, 0. Honda informed its dealers that production of the Prologue, its last remaining EV, ends later this year. And here is what makes this exit remarkable. Just months ago, Honda publicly denied this exact report, calling it pure speculation. The rumors were true, the denial was the bluff. Today, I am breaking down how Honda went from promising an all-electric future to becoming the first major automaker to fully retreat from American EVs. The $16 billion burned, the 5 vehicles killed, and what it means for you. Let's get into it. To understand how strange this ending is, you need to know how well the story started, because the Prologue was not a flop. That is what separates this from every other discontinuation I have covered this year. Honda is killing a car that worked. Rewind to early 2024. Honda had no electric vehicle to sell in America and no time to build one from scratch. So they cut a deal with General Motors. GM would supply its Ultium platform and battery technology, build a vehicle in Mexico alongside the Chevy Blazer EV, and Honda would wrap it in its own styling and badge. The result was the Prologue, essentially a restyled GM underneath, wearing Honda's face and sold through Honda's dealers. Critics called it a stopgap, a placeholder until Honda's real in-house EVs arrived. Then the placeholder became a hit. In its first full year, the Prologue sold over 39,000 units and climbed to the 6th best-selling EV in the entire country, behind only the Ioniq 5, the Mustang Mach-E, the Equinox EV, and the 2 Teslas. Think about that company. A first attempt, borrowed platform EV, outselling vehicles from brands that had been building electric cars for a decade. Buyers loved the familiar Honda ergonomics, the comfortable ride, the nearly 300 miles of range, and most of all, the badge, the trust that comes stamped into every Honda hood. Across its short life, the Prologue moved more than 82,000 units. It appeared on my own lease deal lists as one of the smartest family EV values in the market. Honda's ambitions at that point were enormous. Beyond the Prologue and its Acura ZDX twin, the company was developing the Zero Series, a ground-up sedan and SUV meant to be Honda's true in-house electric future, previewed with dramatic concepts and a new operating system. There was the Acura RSX crossover coming to a retooled Ohio plant. There was even the Afeela luxury EV project with Sony. 5 electric vehicles in the pipeline, billions committed, a public promise to be all electric by 2040. In 2024, Honda looked like a company arriving late, but arriving seriously. 18 months later, every single one of those vehicles is dead. And the collapse happened faster than almost anyone in the industry believed possible. One cancellation at a time, each one explained away, until the last EV standing got the call this month. That cascade, how it happened, why Honda denied it, and what finally forced the decision, is where this story gets interesting. The unraveling started at the top. In September of last year, Honda killed the Acura ZDX after a single model year. The ZDX was the Prologue's luxury twin. Same GM platform, same partnership, built in Tennessee alongside the Cadillac Lyriq. It never found an audience, landing with a thud while its Honda badge sibling thrived. At the time, the explanation seemed contained. One slow-selling luxury variant, trimmed early, nothing more. Notice the timing though. Honda pulled the plug just before the federal tax credit expired. They read the market earlier than almost anyone and moved first. It would become a pattern. Then the $7,500 federal credit vanished and the floor gave out. Regular viewers know these numbers. EV sales down 36% in the fourth quarter, down 27 more to start this year. For the Prologue, the damage was immediate and brutal. Through the end of February, Honda had sold 1,731 of them, down 74.6%. The surprise hit of 2024 was suddenly moving fewer units than cars. Honda was actively discontinuing. In March came the massacre. Honda canceled the Acura RSX crossover before it ever reached production. The Ohio plant retooling abandoned. Then, the big one. The entire Zero Series, the ground-up sedan and SUV that represented Honda's real in-house electric future killed outright. The Sony partnership's Afeela luxury EV gone with it. Roughly $16 billion in investment and write-downs evaporated. In the span of 1 month, Honda went from 5 electric vehicles in the American pipeline to 1 aging survivor on a borrowed GM platform. The all-electric by 2040 promise was quietly buried with them. And here is the act that should make every viewer smarter about reading this industry. Earlier this year, Automotive News reported that Prologue production would end within months, citing forecast data. Honda's response was unequivocal. The article was, quote, based purely on speculation. The Prologue remains in our lineup. Companies do not lie exactly. They tell you what is true today, while the meeting that changes it is already on the calendar. Because underneath the denial, every force was converging. GM had moved on from the Ultium technology under the Prologue's floor, retooling the very plants that built its sibling for gas-powered Cadillacs and Blazers. The platform was orphaned. The partner was leaving. The math was dead. The denial bought Honda 6 months of clean inventory selling, nothing more. On July 16th, dealers got the word. Production of the Prologue ends later this year. Sales conclude with the 2026 model year, with remaining inventory selling into 2027. Honda's own sales chief framed the epitaph gently. The Prologue was a success, he said, but the market now calls for a balance of gas and hybrid. Read the final numbers and you understand the surrender. 8,400 Prologues sold in the first half of this year, down 48%, making it the second slowest selling vehicle in Honda's entire American lineup, outsold by every single Acura, including models Honda is also discontinuing. The car that once ran 6th in the nation could no longer outsell the leftovers. 5 acts, 18 months, 5 EVs reduced to 0. The fastest, most complete electric retreat any major automaker has ever executed in America, by the company that was supposed to be all in. The question that matters now is why Honda chose this path, when its rivals chose differently, and whether Honda just made the smartest move in the industry or the biggest mistake of its decade. Here's the fact that explains everything, and it is hiding in plain sight in Honda's own sales report. While the Prologue was collapsing, Honda's overall American sales rose 2.4% in the first half of the year. The company is not struggling. It is thriving on hybrids. Hybrid versions of the CR-V, the Accord, and the Civic are selling as fast as Honda can build them, making up a full third of the company's volume in June. With gas above $4 a gallon, Americans are stampeding toward fuel efficiency. And as we covered in the Toyota video, they are stampeding toward hybrids, not EVs, now that the tax credit is gone. So put yourself in Honda's boardroom. On one side of the ledger, an EV program that has burned $16 billion. A last surviving model down 48%, riding on a platform its partner already abandoned. In a segment where nearly every legacy automaker loses money on every unit. On the other side, a hybrid lineup printing profits, supply constrained, wearing the exact badge, equity, reliability, efficiency, sensibility that hybrid buyers want. The decision was not agonizing. Every Prologue dollar redirected into CR-V hybrid capacity earns more, risks less, and serves customers who are actually standing in showrooms today. Honda did not abandon electrification. It abandoned unprofitable electrification and doubled down on the version Americans are buying. If this sounds familiar, it should. This is the Toyota strategy, the one the industry mocked for years, the one I covered when the vindication became undeniable. Prioritize hybrids, let customer demand set the pace, refuse to light billions on fire for a mandate-driven timeline. Honda watched its neighbor take that abuse, watched the abuse turn to applause, and is now running the same play. But look closer, and there is a critical difference. And it is the difference that will decide whether history calls this move brilliant or short-sighted. Toyota never left. Through all the criticism, Toyota kept the BZ on sale, refreshed it, priced it right, and now sells more EVs than almost any non-Tesla brand in America, up 90% this year, while its hybrids dominate. Toyota hedged, Honda folded. When the Prologue's last inventory clears in 2027, Honda will hold 0 position in a segment that still moves over 1 million vehicles a year in America. A segment that, in an irony Honda surely noticed, just posted its strongest recovery since the credit shock in the very quarter Honda chose to leave. So which is it? The case for Brilliance, Honda stops the bleeding immediately, feeds a hybrid machine with proven demand, and preserves the option to return later through a new partnership, through its solid-state battery research, through whatever the market looks like in 2028, without carrying losses in between. Retreats that save $16 billion of further damage are how companies survive to fight the next war. The case for surrender. Brand presence is not a light switch. The dealers lose EV selling experience. The charging partnerships idle. The customers who wanted an electric Honda buy an Ioniq or a BZ instead. And first EVs create brand loyalty that lasts decades. If the market recovers on schedule rather than on Honda's schedule, the company re-enters from 0 against rivals who never stopped, in a segment where catching up has humbled everyone who tried it. Toyota proved you could go slow. Nobody has yet proved you can leave entirely and come back strong. So where does that leave Honda? Probably with the right move, made 2 years too late, at a cost that should terrify every automaker still writing EV checks without a plan. But whether this exit becomes the industry's cautionary tale or its template, that answer belongs to the buyers, and it starts being written right now. Start with the 82,000 people who already bought one, because the news sounds scarier from the driver's seat than it is. Honda's commitment is on the record and unambiguous. Full support through the dealer network, including service, parts, and warranty coverage. Nothing about your car changes the day production stops. The 8-year, 100,000-mile battery warranty stands. The 3-year basic warranty stands. And unlike the orphan startups I have covered, this orphan has 2 giant parents. The Prologue is GM hardware underneath, sharing its platform, battery modules, and components with a Blazer EV and Lyriq that GM continues to build and stock parts for. Between Honda's dealer network, one of the largest in America, and GM's parts ecosystem, Prologue owners are among the best protected discontinued EV owners there have ever been. Resale will take a hit. Discontinuation always taxes the trade-in. But as a car to keep and drive, the Prologue's support picture is solid. Now for the opportunity, because regular viewers already know where this goes. Remaining Prologue inventory sells into 2027. Honda needs it gone. And the vehicle appeared on my summer deals list at clearance lease pricing in the low 300s before this announcement. Every discontinuation deepens the discounts from there. That is how the endgame always plays. The lease case writes itself. The same playbook from the deals video. 3 years of a comfortable 300-mile family SUV at fire sale pricing. Depreciation risk handed back to Honda at turn-in. Warranty covering the entire term. Nearly 0 downside. Buying takes slightly more thought, but holds up for keepers. The money you save at signing exceeds the resale you lose later, provided you hold the car long enough to let that math mature. The one honest caution, this is done technology. No future software renaissance is coming to a platform both parents have moved past. What you drive off the lot is what the car will be forever. For a family that wants maximum EV per dollar and plans to simply drive the thing for years, that trade is a bargain. The Prologue enters its clearance era as one of the best cheap family EV plays in the country. And the window runs about a year. Zoom out and mark the moment, because a line got crossed this month. Discontinued models we have covered by the dozen. Paused brands, canceled programs, skipped years, all of it. But a major automaker holding 0 electric vehicles in America is new. Honda just became the test case the entire industry will study, whether Giant can step fully out of the water and wade back in later without drowning. Toyota is running the hedge. Ford is running the pause and rebuild. GM is running the trim and endure. And Honda is now running the full exit. Within 3 years, the market will grade all 4 strategies, and every future automaker decision will cite whichever one wins. Watch the trust question most of all. Honda's exit is rational on every spreadsheet. And yet, somewhere this month, a family that bought a Prologue 18 months ago on Honda's electric promises watched that promise end on a Wednesday. Automakers spend decades building the kind of trust that lets a badge sell cars on reputation alone. The brands that navigate this era best will be the ones that never make their customers feel like a strategy pivot's collateral. The scoreboard video on all of this, who called it, who survives, who returns, is already taking shape. And this channel will keep the receipts. I am Nick, this has been Nick's Car Review, and I will see you in the next one.